Okay, so you said child support is a scam.
Yes.
And why is it a scam again?
It's like if you're a parent, you have a child with somebody, you guys should be able to talk it out and figure out what the child needs, not have some a judge say you need to take this amount of percent out of your check every month. I don't think that's fair to life. I think that it should just be a mutual agreement between both parties, and it needs to be something that people could afford. Not everybody could afford to pay all of this extra money. It just needs to be what the child needs, not what someone else think they need. They're not living with us. We could be in a nice house today. Next year we go to a 1-bedroom apartment. Like that means that the judge is always in our business. That it don't need to be like that. It just needs to be something that you talk about with the parent on a consistent, however many times you need to talk about it with.
So then, what if the parent refuses to pay?
Then
And
that's your
they
ass.
have to deal with karma, so it just kind of falls back on them, saying
Yep.
they shouldn't have chose that person.
Well, I mean, you could say that. It is what it is. There's nothing you could do about that. People are not going to change. There's people who are supposed to pay child support and they're not. So it's kind of like, what about them? Everybody don't go to jail because they don't pay child support. They just don't pay. You got to take them to court. Court is expensive. You got to pay retainer fees. That's expensive. So to always be in court for 18 years, I think is a scam. It's wasting money. You could put all that money you put on a retainer fee to your child.
You know what I think they should do? They take a percentage of each person's check and put that shit in the fund to use on the kid. That's all you got to do. Or we can do it this way. Y'all go. I always tell people the easiest way to alleviate to alleviate costs is to share custody. The more time you send a kid over there, the less money you have to spend at your house. That means his bills is being his electricity being used, his internet being used. He has to go and buy the kids clothes. If you want to alleviate cost, send a child with their father. And I know a lot of people say in some scenarios 50-50 custody is not actually a thing. Yeah, when distance is a factor. Most of y'all live in the same goddamn city as your baby daddy. You can take the kid over there. Because your grandmama live on the other side of town. You ain't got no problem taking them over to grandma's house all day, every day. So you can take them over to their father's house and let him spend half the week with his kid and let him drop the kid off to school for 5 days, and then y'all flip and y'all switch and do whatever. Or, you know what I mean? You can just both put money in a pot. I prefer the first method where y'all just share custody. It's not that hard.
So let's say, JR, let's say there's a mother, right, who needs, she doesn't have that much money. She may have to go to a homeless shelter because, I don't know, she didn't make the right decision, but the father's not paying for the child, which could help her get an apartment. She's going to have to stay in a homeless shelter until she figures it out. And if the parent doesn't pay, the parent doesn't pay, because we can't make people do stuff. It's kind of like you have to know who you're dealing with, who you're going to have a baby with, because sometimes the sign is there. It's just that a lot of us don't look at it. We're looking at everything else. I'm not going to just say everybody we choose is like always going to be bad. Sometimes it's there right in front of you, but we don't see it because we're looking at everything else. So I'm talking about that irresponsibility. I'm not talking about the scammers, because people do scam out here and they will show, something great that's not. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about people who literally show you 5,000 red flags, but you ain't see not one of them because you was looking at his damn, penis or whatever.
Speaking of which, hold on, wait. Speaking of which, I'm glad you mentioned that, because y'all remember how many women were talking about Nick Cannon, right? Hold on, wait. How many women were sitting over here getting on Nick Cannon about how many babies he had, and all he did was do a workout video where his print showed, and all the women was like, "Oh, we understand now." That's what y'all making babies over.
Hold on,
that's what y'all making babies over. The women who
I don't know why y'all think women don't think with their coochie. That's never not been a thing. Why y'all think we always end up in precarious situations with the worst of the worst men? Because the dick be dicking real good. They love talking about how we love high value men, we love 6-figure men, this, that, and the third. And most of the women are conditioned to be with a man that is not financially capable of taking care of multiple people, let alone one family. So it's like, I don't understand the disconnect we have a very hypersexual environment of women. A lot of these freak hoes be in the closet outside, right? And we see it. We see it. We see it in the clothes. We see it in the behavior. We see it in every sector. It's women out here who are going to get BBLs to go sit in a call center because they are trying to have an aesthetic to appease men. Like, we know this. You guys just do not want to accept the fact women think about sex in a roguish manner the same way y'all do. You don't want to accept it. It's right there.
I'm telling you that Nick Cannon thing was the proof in the pudding because all of them was getting on them just last year, and then now all of a sudden they understand why all these women got pregnant. I'm like, y'all, this, man, it's wild out here. Fellas, be safe.
I thought we were talking about child support on putting other stuff on the table. I see. Let's go ahead and get it started, man.
I mean, in this particular case, I will say, as far as Halle Berry is concerned, this is the second white man she's paying child support for. This current, the other man she's paying $12,000 for their first child. So she's obviously not the primary parent to either child in any situation. That other child is actually with the other dad. She pays $12,000 a month for that other child. This guy, he's not broke, right? Because we love to make that assumption. He does make money, but he's a writer. Everybody knows the writers are on a writer strike. So had this been earlier last year, this probably would have went a different way, because we know Halle ain't got no new roles. She just probably has done very much so great for herself in the financial department. But he does write. He writes music. He's written soundtracks. He does scripts. He's very much so a writer. So she didn't go find on anybody. But in case of the child support, I actually do feel like Lady Di, but not for the same reasons as Lady Di. I do feel like child support is not something we should incorporate into our relationships when it comes to our children, because I do not feel like you need a third-party individual to tell you how to raise your child when you was sleeping with them. You ain't need nobody help. So I also know for a fact that child support is actually a scam, which is why they have never enacted the mandate of having mandatory paternity tests, because they make so much money off of it. It goes into generating for Medicare for the children. It goes into generating the financial sector for the vaccines. It goes into generating the money for the public educational system. All of these other sectors is where child support has dispersed from, as well as down into your credit, the DMV as far as your driver's license. All of these other things help contribute to getting child support. And in child support, they only take 25%. So while everybody's sitting here thinking that everybody's getting the bag, no, on average, people are only getting 25% of a person's paycheck pre-tax, and they're living off the rest of it. So when I listen to the idea of child support, I've never been a fan of it. I've never been a fan of it because I feel like you deal with the ramifications of what comes along with making a child. Everybody taking a risk. The same way men taking a risk to deal with a woman who cause hell after you had a baby, it's the same way women deal with the risk that if y'all not marrying before you carry, if things go sour, you might be on your own.